Welcome into NBA Now. I am your host, Tom Downey. On today's video, we are taking a look at the top NBA free agents who could sign with a team as the NBA restart gets underway. Now, the NBA transaction window opens up on June 23rd. That means teams are able to fill roster spots that they had when things got shut down. They'll be able to make moves, cut players, all that, blah, blah, blah. The one big note, though, when it comes to veteran NBA players who we'll break down a top 10 list here in just a second. As of now, and of course this could change, the NBA says the teams must have a roster spot, so they can't just add somebody as a replacement player. Those guys have to be younger. So here are the teams with a roster spot open. The Denver Nuggets, the LA Clippers, who, by the way, are expected to sign Joakim Noah, so we're not going to include him on this list. The Memphis Grizzlies, who are going to sign Anthony Tolliver. The Oklahoma City Thunder, who in all likelihood are just going to promote two-way player Luguentz Dort to a full-time deal, so maybe it's not really a roster spot open there. The Phoenix Suns, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Sacramento Kings, and the San Antonio Spurs. Now, unless things change, LaMarcus Aldridge, who is injured right now, is going to count against the roster count. So what that means is they can't just sign somebody and put Aldridge on like an IR like you might see in the NFL, which means a roster spot would have to open up for the Spurs and any other team like the Lakers or Mavs, for example, who want to add someone who's not already a two-way player. Now, before we break down the full top 10 players who could sign before the NBA restart, we need some help here. If you want us to do more NBA videos from me, producer Harrison, on-air host Harrison, or hater Jimmy, I need you guys to share this video. The more shares we get, the more views we get, and therefore the more NBA videos we can put out for you guys. At number one, and this shouldn't be much of a surprise, right? Boogie Cousins. Kind of in an interesting spot is Cousins. He's still rehabbing from a torn ACL he suffered back in the preseason. The Lakers had to waive him to help make room for some other players, but there's still a good relationship there. He was rehabbing and training in the Lakers facility, which is a good sign if LA wants to replace him. If for, I don't know, maybe Dwight Howard chooses not to play in the NBA playoffs, the Lakers cut him and go try and find another big. This could be a massive addition to a team. If he's healthy, that's the really big question mark around Cousins. Remember, he was on the Warriors last time we saw him in an NBA game. He just wasn't quite the same guy. Now, there are some teams who could pursue Cousins, and the first two make some sense, right? The Lakers have long been connected since they, signed him. The Wizards, thanks to John Wall, since Wall himself says he wants the Wizards to sign him, in his words, right now. And then three teams that were mentioned by The Athletic: Boston, who's long needed a big man. The Spurs and Mavericks, both dealing with injuries. Maybe they could make a roster spot and add one of those players. But I want you guys in the comment section, and I'm going to make this the pinned comment, by the way. What team will be the next team for DeMarcus Cousins? Maybe he signs in this next coming week or so. Maybe he signs in the offseason. But I want all of you guys to predict this for me down in the comment section. To number two now, Gerald Green, the sharpshooting at times, wingman, high athletic player who hasn't played this year. Missed the entire season with a broken foot. Now, before the NBA kind of altered their plans, veterans weren't going to sign unless they were on a team this year. Now, Green counted in that category, but they expanded the rules so guys like Jamal Crawford, hint, hint, you will see on this list. He was productive last year coming off the bench for the Houston Rockets in that, I'm just going to call it fun system that they run down there. But he missed all this year with that broken foot. Houston, by the way, is not eligible to bring back Gerald Green. That is, of course, per the Rockets GM overall. Daryl Morey, excuse me. So I'm very curious to see what ends up happening with Green. If he's healthy, I think a team could end up using him. Now, what I want you guys to do in the comment section is let me know who you want your team to sign. You get bonus points, by the way, if you help me out and say which favorite team is yours. So, for example, if you're a Lakers fan, just go Lakers - whatever team you want it to be. Now, we mentioned the Rockets here, by the way, and Gerald Green. Well, they can't get him, but they are interested in adding one Tyler Johnson. Now, he's only 27 years old, but boy, has Johnson's career not been what you would expect. His play has quite simply fallen off a cliff over the past couple of years. The Suns didn't want him. 2016, 2017, he looked like a very promising young player, almost 14 points a game. The kid can shoot. And then he got paid, and the play has completely fallen off. So watch out for the Rockets and Johnson, which does make sense because they simply love to acquire shooters. We mentioned how the veteran rule changed and how originally it seemed like the NBA was not going to allow players who weren't on a team this year to sign. They have changed those rules, or at least altered their plan, and Jamal Crawford is now eligible to sign. The last time we saw him on an NBA court, he dropped 51 points for the Suns against the Mavericks and hasn't had a chance to play since. He has repeatedly expressed interest in playing again in the NBA. And with so much uncertainty for NBA teams, maybe it makes more sense to add Crawford if you're worried about players testing positive in the bubble down in Orlando, allowing you to add a veteran scorer. Is Crawford good at defense? No, he's not. But if you lose one of your key players, maybe you need that scoring boost a veteran like Crawford could provide. Now, of course, we hope everyone down in the bubble ends up staying safe when there are no positive tests whatsoever, and that the NBA can get back, and next year you can have games and all that with fans, and that'd be kind of ideal, right? Even if we're allowed to go to games in the near future, probably going to need to wear masks. That's why Fanatics just launched their new 4-pack of masks. 4 for under $30. You can check out the whole line at chatsports.com/NBA masks. There are single masks. There were some doubles and triples on there as well. You can check out all of them, though, for whatever your favorite team is at chatsports.com/NBA mask. As a reminder, folks, the link will be in the comments and in the description. All right, more veteran players. Now, how about Isaiah Thomas, who started a bunch of games for the Wizards this year. Then they shipped him off to the Clippers, who cut him at the trade deadline, and we haven't heard from Isaiah Thomas since then. The unfortunate reality for IT is that he hasn't been the same player since his hip injury. The defense was never very good. Now the scoring has really taken a hit since really that 2016-17 season. He's just not the same guy anymore. But again, if you're worried about losing key players, Isaiah Thomas might not make sense in a normal NBA season since he's older, scoring first. But if you get really thin, you might want someone like Isaiah Thomas on your bench because you might need the scoring. In terms of the name brand recognition, Isaiah Thomas is one of the top players left on the open market. Speaking of big names, J.R. Smith, who also benefits from that change the NBA made. It's kind of wild to think that Smith has not played since November of 2018. We'll call it a year and a half. That's a massive amount of time to not play, and unfortunately for J.R. Smith, the defining moment of his career might be LeBron making that face at him when he didn't put the ball back up when he got the rebound in the finals. J.R., though, again, fits a similar category as some of these other veterans. Is he great at defense? No, not really at this point in his NBA career, but he does offer scoring. He can still shoot. And if you get thin, a player like J.R. Smith does make sense for you. Now, he's been heavily linked to the Lakers. They, of course, chose Dion Waiters over him. Maybe the Lakers could get creative and try and add another roster spot, but we'll have to see what ends up happening there. So those are kind of the three big guards, I'll call them, the veterans who, big names, but haven't quite been the same player as of late. Who would you rather sign? Let me know in the comment section. Comment 1 for Jamal Crawford, 2 for Isaiah Thomas, or 3 for J.R. Smith. Number 7 on our list, the man who just keeps hanging around the NBA, cashing them checks, Iman Shumpert. Released by the Nets, he played 13 games and he was okay. He's the 3-and-D guy, as producer Harrison says, 3-and-D minus the 3. Shumpert's shooting is just not good enough. That's why he's unsigned. A reminder, these are not superstar players. You're just not going to find big-name guys anymore. Shumpert, though, could still offer you some defensive help. He has playoff experience. He's a veteran. The Nets maybe could explore bringing him back. They would have to make a roster spot because Kyrie and Durant don't count as, they will count against the roster limit. But you don't have Durant, you don't have Kyrie. Maybe you bring back Shumpert. Just a thought. Number 8, Alan Crabbe, who's kind of bounced around as of late. Blazers was when he was at his best. Speaking of the Nets, by the way, they tried to pay him. The Hawks and the Timberwolves this past year. He's a career 39% three-point shooter. Of the guys on the market who are healthy, Crabbe is the one who really jumps out to me as a possible fit because of that shooting ability. The issue for Crabbe is that Well, he wasn't a 39% three-point shooter the last time we saw him. This past year, look, the stats bear it out. Yeah, he's playing fewer minutes, so the per-game numbers are lower. He was not the same shooter. The efficiency really dropped. That's a big red flag. But maybe a team takes a gamble on him to help out with some wing help, which, as we know, NBA teams are always after. So who do you guys think will win the NBA title this year? Will it be the Lakers, the Clippers, the Bucks? Those are some of the top favorites out there. I want you guys to predict it for me down in the comments section. Number 9, and producer Harrison agrees with me, I think a more underrated player in the NBA, that's Trey Burke. Now, it's not saying a lot, I don't think, based on how I would rate him, but I think Burke should be on an NBA team. I get why he's not, though. Not great defensively. He's not a distributor. There simply isn't a huge need across the NBA for a backup score-first point guard who's probably going to be the third best point guard on your roster. But when he's been given the chance, Burke has shown he's able to score. He did it with the Mavs more recently, the Sixers this past year as a backup guy, and then he got cut at the trade deadline. So again, there's a common theme with a lot of these free agents, right? If you're worried about the depth on your team, maybe you try and go away from a younger option and you get someone on the team who you know can score a little bit more efficiently. Burke could make sense for a team looking for another guard. To round things out, at number 10, CJ Miles. I'm not sure he's going to be healthy enough. I did want to include him. We're not that far away from Miles being a decent enough rotation player in the NBA. Broke his wrist back in December, had surgery on it. The Wizards actually got an exemption for him saying that, hey, he's not going to be good to go until June 15th. So we're past it. But is he really healthy enough to play? He offers enough 3-and-D ability that I'm intrigued by it, but the health is such a major question mark. He checked in at number 10.